Hi and welcome to KeelFlex Tutorials. Today we'll be looking at the Raspberry Pi. If you're unfamiliar with Raspberry Pi, it's a $35 computer that you can use to operate things like 3D printers or even media centers. What we're going to do with the Pi first is we're going to install a hardshell case, followed by configuring the SD card to run the different versions of Linux that are used to operate the Pi. So let's get started and install the hardshell case. This case and the Pi was purchased from a company called Element 14. So I'm going to take the case right here, and first I'm going to make sure that the holes line up perfectly. Then I'll take the top of the case and it fits right in a groove, just like this. Once you have it in place, we're going to stick the top case on. And now we have a perfectly concealed Pi. So let's go ahead and screw it in. Now some other tools that we're going to be using is first a USB to micro USB. The micro USB plugs directly into the Raspberry Pi, while the USB will either plug into a laptop or plug into some kind of a USB power charger. And this gives power to the Raspberry Pi. The second thing I'll be using today is a HDMI to DVI connector. The HDMI plugs into the back of the Pi. As you can see, we have a DVI or an HDMI connector here. We have two USB ports, an Ethernet port, a video component out, an audio port, a place for the SD card, and micro USB. I've chosen a 16 gigabyte SD card because I can run the full version of NOOBs on it. So let's configure this SD card to work with the Raspberry Pi. The first thing I'm going to do is plug it directly into my laptop. Okay, now that I have my SD card plugged into my Mac, I'm going to run a program called SD Formatter. Windows has similar programs, but essentially all this does is format and erase the SD card to prepare it to have the new operating system. So let's go ahead and run this. Here you can see I'm going to do a quick format, and then I can name the Pi whatever I want. And we'll just say Pi Demo. And I'll format it. Okay, great. Now that the formatting is completed, I'm just going to click Close, and I'll go into that SD card. As you can see, it's blank. So I'm going to open up a new window and go to my downloads. And you'll notice I have a copy of NOOBs in here. So I've extracted the NOOBs file from the zip, and all I have to do is simply bring these files over to the Pi demo. Now I'm going to speed this up, but this process will typically take about 20 to 30 minutes to complete. So NOOBs has been installed, so I'm just going to eject the SD card. Now that it's been ejected, let's go ahead and plug it into the Pi. I'm also going to connect my adapter for my HDMI to DVI. And we'll connect my power source through the micro USB and plug that into the computer here in just a second. I'm also going to connect my DVI from my monitor into the DVI on the Pi. So now let's go ahead and plug it in, and we should notice pretty immediately that we'll get a pretty colorful screen up on my monitor here. So the Raspberry Pi is turned on, we can see the colorful screen, and now the Raspberry Pi is initiating. Okay, so here we can see all the various operating systems that we have the ability to install. Once I'm ready, I click Install. It does warn us that it will erase the SD card, which in this case we're okay with. Now this process can take up to several hours. Okay, so that's how you install NOOBs on a Raspberry Pi. There's a lot more that can be covered on what the operating systems do and how you can use the Raspberry Pi to control all kinds of different things, even automate your home. But we don't have enough time in this video for that. So hopefully for another video in the future, we can cover some of those options. Thanks for watching.